Hi, I'm Colin Thomas, and this is your tutorial video on how to use the record players in WIUX's 99.1 FM studio. So first, here are your turntables and the turntable mixer. They'll be to the left of the person seated in the engineer position in front of the board. As you can see, I already have one of the two records on. I want to start off by showing you how to make sure that you hold a record and set it down without damaging it. So as you can see, I'm only putting my fingers on either the label right here in the center or around the edges, and I'm not touching any of the grooves because I can get some dust or some dirt or things in there that'll either change the sound of the record or it will damage it or scratch it in any other way. So when you're putting it down, make sure you hold it by the edges and you set it down with this little silver knob in the center, and it'll go through the center hole like that. Sometimes it'll fit a little bit snugly, but that's okay. So what you want to make sure is that both these locks on the turntable arms are disengaged before you lift the arms and go on to the record. So what you're going to do is you're going to make sure that you do this with the lever. Do not lift the needle with your hands because it'll make it very easy to drop it, and that will also damage the record. So what you'll want to do is once you get it set over the grooves of the beginning of the song that you want to play, you'll set it up over that, and then you will press the start-stop button to get the turntables to start rotating, and then you will slowly drop the needle onto the record. And then it may take a second or two, so make sure you give yourself a little bit of extra time, but then eventually the record should start playing as so. So if you take a look at the mixer right here, both of the turntables go into the board that the engineer sits in front of through one input that simply says turntable, and we'll look over there in a little bit. But so what that means is that both records that are going to be played over the air are going to be played through this one mixer. A couple of things are important to note on this mixer. First is that on the top there are these two switches. You need to make sure that both switches are set to phono/line because that is the record player input as opposed to a CD input that we do not have attached. These two faders right here are used for the separate volumes of each turntable. You're going to want to make sure that both of those are even between the 8 to 10 mark. That makes sure that both of them are even. So what you're going to want to do is once this song on one record player is coming to an end, that is when you're going to get your next record on the other turntable queued up. Now again, we press the start-stop button with the needle lifted over the record, and we will line it up, and then I'm going to turn up the monitors a little bit so you can hear this. You will slowly drop the needle, and then when you are switching over to the next turntable, this fader right here, you will slowly fade it over, and you can hear there how the next song has started. Some records you may find that they will have quieter introductions on some songs than others. You just saw it right there. So just be mindful of that. Another thing to be mindful of is you always lift the needle when the record player is still spinning and pull it away, and then you stop it from spinning. Again, that is to avoid scratching the record when the needle stops. And then once you are done using the turntables, you can lift the needle, remember when the record is still spinning, and you may then drop it and stop the record player. So as I said earlier in the video, both of your turntables are going through one mixer into one input on the board. That is this input right here that says turntables, two to the right of Big John, right next to the tie line input. So what you're going to want to make sure you do is you're going to have to make sure that the input is on and the fader is turned up much as you would with either the CD or the DDS input on the board if you were to use either of those. Then what you will do is you will, on the Big John computer, put it into jock assist mode, as you would if you were either doing a talk break or using another machine to play music. And then as the song on Big John turns off, that is when you will drop the needle on your record player and begin to play the track on your record. One more important thing to remember is that if you are using records that belong to the station, you want to make sure that you put them away properly so that other DJs can continue to use them and they stay in good condition. The way that you'll do that is most records that you get from WIUX will come with their sleeve, and they will have a separate little flap to put the record in. What you'll want to make sure to do is at the end of the show, or at the end of you playing the record, you'll pick the record up off of the turntable. Again, it may fit a little snugly, so you want to make sure that you get a really even grip. And if you notice, I'm lifting it underneath the record mat, so I'm not touching the record as if to damage it. So if it fits a little snugly, you just kind of squeeze it up a little bit, and then you grab the edges and the center label, and you lift it off, making sure not to touch the grooves. And then you very snugly will slide it in to its first protective thinner sleeve, and then back into the thicker album cover sleeve, and then it is ready to be put away. So, a quick review of what you've seen in the video goes as follows. First, make sure that your record players are turned on with the power knob. Then, once you make sure that both are turned on and the volume levels are set correctly, that is when you can start playing your record. You unlock the arm, you lift it with the lever, slide it over, press the start-stop button, and then lower it to begin playing. You can use the center fader on this mixer to switch back and forth between which record is playing. Once a record is done playing and you're ready to take it off the turntable, lift the needle with the turntable still spinning, slide it safely out of the way, and put it back into the arms holder, relock it, and then stop the turntable. Then you need to make sure to put the record away. And also, make sure you don't forget before you start to play records, turn on the turntable channel on the Axia console and have Big John in jock assist mode. Once you are done playing records and you are ready to turn Big John back on or turn it over to the next show, make sure you turn it back into automation mode so we can continue to play songs and spots over the air after your show is done.